Hello, I'm Jules from Life and Fork, and I'm here today to make a video about the benefits of creatine. It's a supplement with a lot of confusion around it. It's one I get asked a ton of questions about, and it's one I'm very passionate about persuading people into incorporating into their daily habits. So what is creatine monohydrate? It's part of our phosphocreatine system, which is one of the three energy systems that we use in our body. This one is the anaerobic process, so no oxygen is used, and it provides energy for very high intensity activities. So think things like sprints, explosive movements, a squat, a snatch, something like that. As part of our ATP system, ATP are molecules that provide energy to cells. We naturally ingest creatine through the meat and fish that we eat, so we do have stores of it within our body. However, we have the capacity to store a lot more than comes in through our food. For context, you'd need to eat a kilogram of beef to get maybe 5 grams of creatine, and our muscles and brain have a much higher capacity than that to be able to store, therefore it being very beneficial to supplement with creatine. The majority of the creatine we ingest is taken to our muscles, and a small percentage is stored up in our brain. What it does do is allow you to lift a little bit more weight, get out maybe 1 or 2 more reps in a set, or just stop you from tapping out sooner. The phosphocreatine system is our most powerful system, so enhancing it just allows us to be a little bit more powerful. And whilst it doesn't directly lead to fat loss, it indirectly helps with fat loss because it allows us to train more efficiently. Now, similarly to our muscles, our brain uses more ATP when completing a difficult task. So when our brain function is impaired, we know that creatine helps to bridge that gap. Anything like stress, lack of sleep, or brain fog is directly helped when we supplement with creatine. And for that reason, it's a supplement that is beneficial to all populations. We know that creatine allows us to function better on less sleep. So studies show when we've had maybe only 4 hours sleep, we're able to perform cognitive tasks more effectively the next day. This makes it a perfect supplement for people with young children who don't sleep well, menopausal women, students studying, people whose jobs are stressful, meaning it may affect their sleep. The list is endless. We know it improves people's reaction time, we know it improves short-term memory, and we know it improves reasoning. The neuroprotective effects of creatine is probably one of the most exciting elements of it. There's very early research on humans showing that it can be protective in Parkinson's disease, and at present research showing positive signs to help with the prevention of Alzheimer's. Although this is in animal studies, it does look promising, as we're seeing that people with Alzheimer's have lower levels of creatine in the brain. Please note this isn't medical advice and should be discussed with a doctor, and there's a caveat that late into Alzheimer's, creatine deposits in the brain can have an adverse effect. It's really just to get across to you how neuroprotective this supplement is, how safe it is, and how probably in the future the recommendations to take it to prevent neurodegenerative diseases is probably going to heighten. To add to this point of how neuroprotective it is, there's a lot of research coming out with rugby players and NFL players with concussion. They're high dosing athletes prior to playing, and seeing that if they do take a hard knock to the head, that creatine is actually now being found to be protective of the brain cells. So it's shown to protect the cells against forceful hits. We're also seeing studies on children with traumatic brain injuries having positive effects from high doses of supplementing creatine. So there's no denying on every level, it certainly seems to have a positive effect on anything to do with our brain activity. And if that hasn't convinced you, let's look at the performance benefits from it. As I said, it will enhance strength gains. Interestingly, some studies show more so in upper body than lower body. And also in the elderly, we see that even without any exercising, supplementing creatine led to an increase in grip strength. So even if you're not someone that exercises, you're going into older age, it's worth supplementing because we know it allows us to retain or increase strength without actually doing any resistance training. The big advantage if you do train is we know it increases our ability to recover. It does this by helping to activate satellite cell signaling. This is something that happens after we've trained and torn our muscles apart. Satellite cells are signaled to start combining that muscle back together to create strength and gains and adaptations. When we go into menopause and when we go just into old age in general, this system becomes somewhat lazy, so supplementing creatine will help delay the effects of this slowing down. Is it safe is a question I get asked a lot. It's the most researched and therefore the safest supplement of the lot. If you are menopausal or looking to lose weight, there are so many supplements sold to us that we take on board without any evidence, like collagen teas and menopause supplements. Yet this is something we categorically know will help and will work, and people are still reluctant to take it. There are no contraindications with any other drug. The only population of people who shouldn't take it are women who are pregnant or breastfeeding, simply because the research isn't done, and that's not because it's bad for those people, it's because not much research is available on pregnant and breastfeeding women. And people with certain kidney conditions whereby you would have a consultant who would have already told you to eat diet containing no meat and therefore no creatine, so you would know about it. Some people believe it has a negative effect on kidney and liver. As of yet, there's absolutely no evidence to show this whatsoever. Another fear is that it causes weight gain, which is technically true. The way creatine works is by taking water into your muscles to sit and store itself in. Therefore, there's an increase of intracellular water, which means on a scale you may see weight gain. It's by no means fat gain, and it's a requirement for the creatine to stay stored in your muscle and do its job. Another fear of creatine is that it will make you bloat. Again, if it's going to bloat, it will happen within your muscle cells. It's not happening externally. It's not going to make stomach bloat, arms bloat, anything like that. If anything, it's going to make your muscles pop slightly and make you look a little bit jacked, which is never a bad thing. All the research I'm talking about today is on creatine monohydrate, and I can't say that enough. You just need to buy creatine monohydrate. There's various other forms that are slightly more expensive and claim to do better things, but all the research is on creatine monohydrate, and there's no need to divulge anywhere else. It can be taken as a tablet, in powder form, and my preference is in the form of gummies, simply from a consistency point of view. I found powders freaked me out. The tablets were quite large and I was putting off taking them, so I found my formula, and that's all I would say. Whichever way enables you to take it consistently every day is the method for you. In terms of dosages, our body turns over about 1 to 2 grams of creatine a day. We can fast load it, so take loads for a week and load the muscles up. But to be honest, unless you're in a great rush for it, simply take creatine every day and allow 30 days before you start to look for any benefits in it. That gives your muscles long enough to be saturated in it and start to get to work. A blanket dose is 5 grams a day. However, if you want a relative dose to your body weight, the recommended amount would be 0.03 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh 60 kilograms, times it by 0.03, and that would be the grammage you should take each day. If you take it and find it starts to give you GI issues, so gut feels a little bit affected by it, simply split the dose into 2, so take maybe half in the morning and half in an evening. And another thing to try is to increase fluid intake. That can sometimes help. Its uptake is insulin mediated, which means taking it with carbohydrate or protein will allow it to be transported to the muscle, so that's the best time to take it. If you're someone that trains, after training, when you have your protein after training would be a good time to take it. It's recommended to be taken away from caffeine, away from hot drinks, but if that's the only way you're able to take it consistently, then that's better than not taking it at all. It's also worth saying that there are non-responders. Some people do take it and don't see any massive benefits from it, but no one will know that until they've tried it. And because it comes in through meat and fish, we tend to see vegetarians see the most benefits from it because they don't have as high a natural store already. So when we start supplementing it, we see this huge increase and they often see the biggest benefits. So if you're vegetarian, it's definitely worth trying. Overall, it's the one supplement that no one can deny has a plethora of benefits. It suits all populations, stressed, have young children, you're sleep deprived, you're perimenopausal, you're elderly, you've got loved ones who are elderly. If you care about yourself or anyone that you care about, I would be highly recommending you get them to supplement with creatine every day for the rest of their life.